In a rural town, tucked far from the city, stood an old middle school. Its gray brick walls had long lost their color, and the hallway lights flickered without reason. To outsiders, it seemed like any other school. But every winter, one student vanished. It always happened after the second semester final exams. The full ranking list would be posted on the hallway wall, and the name at the very bottom. By the next day, that student would be gone. The locker would be empty, the desk cleared out. Even the student's name quietly disappeared from the attendance records. No one spoke of it. Teachers ignored it. Parents stayed silent. Strangely, the more unnatural it felt, the faster it was forgotten. But someone knew the truth. One student always ranked second to last, hovering just above that bottom line. To survive, he studied desperately. As each exam approached, the circles under his eyes darkened. Every night, he woke up in fear, convinced that something was crawling through the dark hallway outside. On the night before grades were posted, the silence grew heavier. At midnight, his dorm room would freeze over. The ticking clock would suddenly stop, and all sound inside the room would vanish. Then winter came again. He failed the final exam. Snow fell gently as students gathered to see the posted results. One by one, eyes dropped to the bottom of the list. His name was at the very end. That night, his room was silent. Outside the window, snow kept falling. Inside, everything was still. The clock froze just before midnight, and once again, all sound vanished. From under his bed, something stirred. A cold presence crept upward, followed by a hand that gripped his ankle. He was pulled down, unable to scream, unable to fight back, and below the floorboards, dozens of hands waited in the dark, pale, familiar, cold. They belonged to those who had vanished before him. The next morning, the ranking list was updated. The bottom name had been erased, and the one just above had moved down to take its place. No one asked questions. The hallway grew quieter. Students stopped making eye contact. Every single one of them signed up for extra exam prep. Their eyes became dull, their smiles disappeared, but that year, something changed. A student deliberately placed himself at the bottom of the rankings. No one knew why. He was quiet, alone, always tired. When the report card was posted, he walked alone to the far end of the hallway. No one followed, and after that day, no more students disappeared. Still, something remained strange. The bottom line of every report card stayed blank. An empty space that couldn't be erased, as if someone still occupied that place. The school grew quiet. Test scores improved. The world moved on. But late at night, when the building was still, there was something in the air. A strange cold in the hallway. A ticking clock that shivered ever so slightly, and soft footsteps echoing in the dorms. A reminder that it wasn't truly over, that something or someone was still watching. At the edge of a quiet town stood an old middle school, slouched slightly toward the forest like it wished to vanish. Its walls were cracked, the lights dim and flickering, and its windows reflected the world with a distorted glare. Like memories that had soured over time, students came and went, pretending everything was ordinary. But somewhere beneath the peeling floors and dust-lined lockers, the school held its breath. It was waiting. There had been a boy. Not loud, not strange, just the type who vanished into corners. He never fought back. He learned to survive by being small. Too small, perhaps. It started with glue on his chair, rancid food in his locker, torn notes. Then the desk pushed out of place, his seat gone one morning. Teachers saw. No one intervened. Eventually, even the bullies moved on. He was beneath their interest now. A ghost before he disappeared. And one day, he did. No transfer, no announcement, just absence. His name on the roll call remained untouched for days, then vanished without a trace. Only his locker stayed, at the far end of the west wing, forgotten, its lock hanging broken, a notebook's edge peeked through, swollen with moisture and time. Some students whispered of breath heard nearby. Others spoke of knocking from inside. One fainted in front of it. Another bled from the nose. The school sealed off the hallway. They blamed old pipes, water damage, but everyone knew better. Late one bitter winter evening, a student studying after hours heard a sound. A dull metallic creak echoing from the sealed wing. Locker 303, opening. The corridor air thickened, heavy and biting cold. Darkness spilled forth, not mere absence of light, but something ancient and oppressive. From the yawning locker, a single hand emerged. Long fingers curled like withered twigs, brittle nails scraping metal, skin pale and fragile as decaying parchment. A torn-stained uniform sleeve followed, slithering out like a shadow cast in flesh. The thing that crawled forth moves slow, deliberate. It did not need to rush. By the time the boy looked up, it was already upon him. He vanished without a trace. His bed lay untouched. His name was wiped clean from the records. The school bricked up that hallway at dawn. No explanation was offered. No one spoke of what happened, only silence. But silence was deceptive. Behind that cold brick wall, something stirred. A presence that refused to be forgotten. Teachers walking past whispered of an unnatural chill that clawed at their skin. A faint, rhythmic tapping echoing through the stillness. At night, some swore they could hear muffled whispers. Half-formed words of sorrow and rage, as if the boy, or whatever remained of him, was trying to tell his story, to plead for justice, or perhaps vengeance. Years passed. Students graduated, halls emptied, walls cracked further. Yet the stories persisted. Locker 303 became a name spoken only in hushed tones, a warning etched into the school's dark folklore. If you stand near the old West Wing, now sealed and forgotten, you might catch a glimpse of something in the shadows. A fleeting figure, pale and trembling, watching, waiting, remembering. A cold breath brushes past your ear, and for a moment, the weight of a sorrow too deep for word presses down, reminding you that some places keep their secrets forever. Locker 303 may have been buried beneath a stone and silence, but what it held inside, the pain, the loneliness, the anger, never truly left.